Hey everyone, this is Gnogat. We are now in the period between NAWCQ and EUWCQ, and after EUWCQ we'll have the release of Justice Hunters. So I think that is the perfect spot to start talking about these decks, Dracotail, K9 and Yummy. So what I wanted to do is for each of these decks I wanted to give an introduction video, then I will do a video with deck lists, and then I will maybe do something like a buy list for each of those decks, grab what you need to play those decks. If you want to see something like a buy list video, then let me know in the comments below. It's a bit uncharted territory for me. So, for these decks, for the introductions, I will talk over the cards, I'll talk about the ratios that are commonly played, I'll show you a combo, and then I'll tell you when if you should decide to pick up this deck, if it's your playstyle or not. So, Dracotail, probably the one I've tested the most, probably my favorite so far. So I wanted to start with that. Yummy, I will start my testing this week, so stay tuned for the Yummy video. I think next up will be K9. So let's start with Dracotail Lucius. This is your Stratos. So if it's normal or special summoned, you can add one Dracotail monster from your deck to your hand, except itself. And if this card is sent to the graveyard as material for a fusion summon, you can set one Dracotail spell or trap from your deck. The last part, setting from the deck, is something all of the main deck monsters have in common. So this obviously doesn't have a bonus effect. Some others do, but this just sets from the deck because the main effect is already so strong. Similar to Dracotail 5 mana, which also just sets from the deck. The rest has bonus effects. Lucius, obviously a 3-off. It's your main normal summon. It's your searcher, and generally this deck doesn't have a lot of one-card combos. So you want to do 2-card combos, and this provides a fusion body and any other Dracotail from your deck. So you want to start with this for sure. The next card is also one of the most important cards in the deck, and that card that kind of gives it the identity, and that's 5 mana. And it has the effect of during the main phase, that means also your opponent's turn. As a quick effect, you can discard this card, fusion summon one dragon or spellcaster fusion monsters from your extra deck, using mods from your hand or field. So you can start playing on your opponent's very first turn, do stuff, disrupt them a bit, while also getting some benefits out of it, because when you fuse, you get stuff set from the deck. And then it also has the effect of when it's fused, you can set from the deck, no further effect there. Definitely a 3-off, it's one of your main interaction pieces, and you want to use this as much as possible. So one time during your turn, grab it back, use it during your opponent's turn. Generally the gameplay loop of this deck. So 5 mana, definitely 3-off. Muller is a 2 or 3-off, I think I've seen, and it is the Cartesia from of the deck. So during the main phase, quick effect, you can fusion summon one Dracotail fusion monster by using mods from your hand or field. And if this card is used as a fusion material, you can again set a card from your deck, and then you can negate one monster your opponent controls. Note that this is non-targeting, and it happens on the resolve. So you don't target, you just have something negated after you've set the card. So very nice for playing into boards. You just fuse this away, you negate something, and you also got a free resource out of it. Or you can normal summon it and use this as targeting protection, because once your opponent targets something with an imperm, for example, just like Cartesia, you chain the effect, you fuse both away, and then the imperm cannot target the monster anymore. So yeah, that's Muller. Next up we have Urgula, which is commonly a one-off. I've seen lists that have a heavier package that just want to focus on the turn 0 5 mana. To get the bonus effects of fusing, but Urgula's effect is, again, if it's used as fusion material, you can set a Dracotail spell or trap, and then you can pop a spell or trap. And then the other effect is you can target one, if this is in the graveyard, you can target one Dracotail monster in your grave, add that target to your hand, and then you put this back at the bottom of your deck. So this is one of your main ways of recycling 5 mana. So you have these two in the grave because you fused them, and then you just use Urgula, get it back. And that's that. Next up we have the counterpart, which is Pan. Pan, when fused, sets a card and then destroys a monster on the field. And then the other effect is if a fusion monster on your field is destroyed by card effect, except during the damage step, you can put this back at the bottom of your deck, and then you special summon one Dracotail monster from your graveyard. So they pop one of your bosses, and you just activate this effect, shuffle back, you bring back Lucius, you get the effect of adding something to hand, and there you go. Or you could also get back Muller fuse into something, and then Muller triggers, you set something, you negate something. Yeah, so those also generate a one-off. But again, when you play into boards and you just, while doing your combos, you pop a monster, pop a spell trap, and negate a monster, that's really, really strong, while grabbing more pushes. Now, the next card is a card that I really like for its design, and that is Key to Dracotail. And that is the rota of the deck. So add one Dracotail monster from your deck to your hand, but it has a bonus effect, and it says if your opponent controls a monster, you can fusion summon one dragon or spellcaster monster from your extra deck using mods from your hand or field. So going first, this is just a rota. Going second, this is a rota that also fuses. So really helps you offset the downside of going second. You just activate this, grab one of your monsters. Let's say you grab a Pan, you fuse it off, go into one of your fusion monsters, and then you can use the Pan to also set another spell trap and pop a monster. Or you go into Muller and negate a monster, so on and so forth. So very, very nice card for consistency, but also helping you going second. Now, next up, we have Rahu Dracotail. Now, this is the branded fusion of the deck, kind of. This says fusion summon one Dracotail monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand, deck, and or field. And you can also not special summon from the extra deck for the rest of this turn, except fusion monsters, and it's once per turn. Now, little detail here, it says you can fuse from the deck, but all of the Dracotail fusion monsters say that you have to use at least one monster from the hand so far. So this means that this card usually uses one material from the deck and one from hand, and that's it, which is already very, very powerful. Just grabbing one of these monsters from the deck, fuse with it, and one of your hand, and then you just get more resources out of your deck while popping something. This, yeah, these two spell cards really, really helped you going second. So obviously these two are 3-offs, and then we have the trap cards. I'll just put them side by side. Flame and Horn, usually played in tandem as 1/1, and once we read over them, you will know why. So Dracotail Flame is a trap that targets a spell on the field, negates the effects until the end of turn, and then you can place one Dracotail card from your graveyard or banishment to the bottom of your deck, except itself, and then draw one card. So Dracotail Horn does basically the same, but instead of negating a face-up spell, it says target one attack position monster on the field, return it to the hand or extra deck, then you can place one Dracotail card from your graveyard or banishment to the bottom of the deck, and draw one card. So basically, once you've set these up, you use one of them, shuffle something back, draw a card, then you use the other one, put the flame back into your deck, draw a card, and then you just loop them all over and over until your opponent ashes one of them, because these are ashable whether you want to draw or not. They can ash it, they can go spell it, and once they do, once you have the flame in the grave and the horn also gets ashed or belled, then you have no way as of right now to get them back. So keep that in mind with them, but generally these are very good for your grind game. 1 and 1, and these are also the ones that you will set off of your monsters at the end of your standard combo. Now, next up we have the most important fusion monster of the deck, which is Altharion. It uses one Dracotail monster and one monster in your hand. That monster can be anything. So any spare Charmy you have, or the extra nib, or maybe just like more Dracotails. That's obviously optimal. And it says if this card is fusion summoned, you can target monsters on the field or in the graveyards up to the number of monsters used from your hand and return them to the owner's hand. So very simple effect, but can also, you can do a lot with it. Before we get to that, the other effect is when this is in your graveyard and two or more monsters from you go to the grave at the same time, you can summon this back, but banish it when it leaves the field. Obviously, when it's summoned back, it cannot bounce because there is no fusion material. But the bounce effect is very, very powerful because you can do so many things with it. You can bounce, obviously, cards from your opponent. You can bounce your own stuff. You can bounce your hand traps in the grave. You can bounce your 5 mana in the grave. Something really, really strong is your opponent. You play, your opponent goes Izuna effect on the field, you ash it, you continue your combo and you just go Altharion, bounce back the ash in your grave, and now you just have Dracotail set up and you didn't even lose a hand trap. So that's generally your main point, your main fusion monster to go into is the Altharion. And then the other one, because you kind of want another name, is Dracotail Grammel. And this also uses one Dracotail monster and one monster in your hand, any monster. And when you activate a Dracotail monster quick effect, you can target one card your opponent controls, destroy it. And then this also has the resummon effect. If 2 or more monsters go to the graveyard at the same time, you can resummon this. Now, the pop effect has to be in the chain to your Dracotail effect. So let's say you activate 5 mana, your opponent goes any card effect, doesn't even matter if it's max C or whatever, you cannot chain Grammel. It has to be right after the Dracotail effect. But this also is a very strong tool for playing the wards because you can, for example, go Dracotail, Rahu Dracotail, you send one of these monsters, go into this, and then you go chaining one this will pop a monster, give you follow-up, and then if your opponent doesn't react to this in any shape or form, you go this and you can then pop. Or also, the thing is, even if they do chain something to the pan here and you cannot activate this, the pan will set a card, will pop a monster, so maybe the other interaction, and then let's say you have set the key to Dracotail, you just activate this, and now if they don't have this response to that, you'll get to pop with this in that case. So generally you'll kind of get the picture of what this deck tries to do. And then the other 2 cards I had here, not specifically Dracotail monsters, and they are also already out yet, but those are Mysterion the Dragon Crown and Secretarian Dragon. This is basically a Dracotail support card. In the OCG it came out after, in the set after, and its materials are 1 dragon and 1 spellcaster. And as long as this is on the field, your opponent's monsters, dragon or spellcaster monsters that are special summoned, cannot activate their effects. So Floodgate for the mirror, yay. The other effect, however, is kind of nice for this deck if you're not floodgating your opponent, and that is once per turn you can target 1 dragon and 1 spellcaster monster in your graveyard, summon one, and the other one you put back into your deck. So your prime target will probably be the Lucius, summon back, grab something, and recycle any dragon in your grave, which could be your Altharion if you want it back in your extra deck. And then Mysterion, this also uses a spellcaster and a dragon monster. And this effect was kind of weird. Let me check again. When an activated effect is used, or a monster uses its own effect to summon a monster with its base type, you can target one of those special summoned monsters and banish all other monsters with the same type. So let's say you play against Malice, they have a bunch of Cyberses on the board, and then they use March Hare uses its effect to special summon itself, Mysterion target the March Hare, banish all Cyberses. Very, very strong effect. Very, very good also into Yami, because I also think Yami has spells that summon their monsters. So that's the overview for the cards. Let's just show off a simple combo. Alright, so let's just show off the most basic standard combo, which would be Lucius and any monster in your hand. Generally, you have a lot of like 2-card combos or different combinations of your hand, but the combos will generally look like this if you don't play a side engine. So you will get the gist of what the setup would be. So we have Lucius and any monster. We normal summon the Lucius and use the effect to grab 5 mana. Use the 5 mana effect, discard it, and fuse Lucius with a random monster in your hand, and you'll go into your Altarion. Now, you can go Chainlink 1 Lucius to set something from the deck, and Chainlink 2 Altarion to add back, target the 5 mana to add it back. So this comes back, and then Lucius will set you Rahu Dracotail. And then you use the Rahu Dracotail, and you fuse the 5 mana in your hand with the Argula in your deck, and you will go into Grammel. Now, you will have 5 mana trigger, you have Argula trigger, and you could use Grammel if your opponent had a monster, but you just get these, and they are setting you your Flame and your Horn. So you have that set up for the opponent's turn, and then you can use Argula, targeting the 5 mana to grab it back, shuffling this into your deck, and now you're already good to go. So what does this all do? We have this big body here, and that's pretty much it. He doesn't do anything. With Grammel, so you can pop in response to one of your Dracotail effects. You have a Spell Negate, which can draw you a card, so you draw into more non-engine. You have a Bounce for an attack position monster, so your opponent generally can play around this by putting their stuff into defense. But you always have a target with your Altharion, for example. Like, if you just have to trigger your pop, you just go Dracotail Horn, target this, and then you chain this to pop, and you still get a draw off. And then you have 5 mana to fuse things off, to go into any of your fusion monsters, depending on what your hand is, but you always have these as options, because this is a dragon, this is a spellcaster. These use dragons and spellcasters. So that is pretty much pretty layered as a board, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4 disrupts at least, plus 2 draws with this, and yeah. Also, if you counted the summons, you had 1, 2, 3 summons. So it's impossible to play into Nibiru with this deck, unless you have a side engine. But anything else, even if you add another engine that summons a monster on board, 1 more monster is totally fine. You'll be at 4 summons, and that's it. So that's the general standard setup. It doesn't look too flashy. Obviously, it gets much more interesting once you add in the other effects of the monsters that pop and negate when used as fusion material. And generally, when playing this deck, going second has been such a blast. The setup generally here is fine. It's fun, it's layered, it's very easily set up, but the main thing is the interactability when you're going second. So that's the standard line, and now let's talk about pros and cons. So, should you pick up Dracotail out of Justice Hunters? If you liked Invoked, Shaddoll, Branded, Chimera, and a bit of Telement too, especially the Telement variants that after the hits where you mixed in some other stuff, then you'll be right at home here. This deck is very interactive. Just like Telement, it can play during your opponent's first turn. You fuse off your monsters and you get an advantage out of it, just like Chimera or Branded. You have a very minimal setup into this deck is very, very good into turn skip hand traps. So Droll, generally you don't care. Fua, you can give minimal draws. Purulia, you give 0 to 1 draws. Nibiru, you do 3 summons in your main combo. You can even add a summon on top and you still don't care. So this deck, very, very minimal setup, and very, very interactive. I told you about the Rhoda of the deck, which when you go second, you get an extra effect. When you fuse them off, you can pick apart your opponent's board. So the going second experience with this deck is a lot more exciting than the turn 1 setup. So if you like interactive games and playing on your opponent's turn, small setups, then this might be the deck for you. Now, one thing I mentioned about the turn skip hand traps, there's one hand trap that came back into the OCG meta because of this deck, and that is Retaliating Sea. That card is a pain to deal with, so you should be prepared for that. Now, on the flip side, for the downsides, if you like big combos, if you like to get very creative with your decks, this deck is pretty much you get what you see kind of deck. So you are fusion locked. A lot of cards say you have to summon Dracotail monsters, and the biggest strength of this deck is that it focuses on its strengths, on its monsters. So aside from the occasional Winda if you're playing a Shaddoll Engine, or Dragoon if you're playing King of the Swamp or Dark Magician, you don't really get too creative with the extra deck options or your combo lines. But that's okay if that's your cup of tea. If you're more about the gameplay than the deck building, definitely this deck can be for you. I will also note that in the OCG, once people got more and more onto K9, this deck also performed worse because you have a lot of effects that activate in hand and or in grave. So this deck has kind of a weakness to the K9 engine. So if your locals will be full of K9 Vanquish Soul, for example, then maybe, and if you want to win, then you'll have a hard time. And if you're all about winning and not about the deck itself, then maybe pick up something else. But into most of the other decks, like this is a very, very strong deck. It just has a weakness to K9, and it's not like a unwinnable matchup. I just wanted to warn you that you have a little bit of a weakness. Other than that, this is probably my favorite deck out of the bunch, just because I like this interactive style of gameplay. I like fusion summoning. Some of you know, like most of my videos have been about Chimera. So this will probably be my deck of choice for now. And next video, I'm gonna start talking about K9, which is the other deck that I've been experimenting a lot with, and also I'm looking forward to play with. So yeah, so if you like the video, please leave a thumbs up, leave a sub. A comment would be also very nice. Let me know what you think about the video. If I missed something, like something I could include in the next videos, let me know. And we'll see you in the K9 video.